Hello! Long time no see. This is a video for the, for M.E.R.C.S second edition, in this case, the rulebook. So, starting off, so nice and shiny at the front, all nice and shiny at the sides, and all shiny, well, at the back. One thing is it'll scuff up a lot. I mean, it's not going to get damaged that easily, but if you want to stop it getting scuff marks, maybe use a slightly damp cloth on it or something. As you can see, there's a lot on mine, but that's just me. These are the limited edition ones, so when it's gone, and they're going to use a rule book with a similar sort of cover to the first edition book, but with a different colour. I think it's blue, and a different picture. I think it's just Kaiserweiser on the front, if I remember correctly. But anyway, go on inside, just plain, no picture like before. Another blank page. Little bit of an intro telling you a little bit about the game. Then table of contents, which is, if I just move the camera over, double spread now. The picture's similar to that, actually, if I remember correctly. It's more that side, if I just zoom in a bit, than anything else. Could be wrong, but I think it's similar to that. So, and as we go on to the world of M.E.R.C.S like before, but it's a lot more in depth. It's like what it was from the first edition, but expanded, maybe a little bit more in between and further beyond, like the downfall of Sadafu and then their rebirth, as it were, in Operation Paradigm Shift, which that never really got an ending to it, did it? Really? Let's be fair. Artwork's still as good as ever. If I just zoom in a little bit, some of the artwork's the same, but that's partially to be expected. So as you can see, there's a lot more. Excuse me. And now what we come on to is the short story. Well, I say a short story. It's a lot longer than the last one, and it's kind of a prequel to the novel The Worker's Heart, which I've only just started reading it. Not bad so far. I'm not sure about the cover. Bit too Star Wars if for my liking, but that's just me. But very, very good. I like. It feels a lot like the third Space Wolves book, when Ragnar Blackmane first lands on Terra, that sort of thing. Nearly $10 for the book. That's about right. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot big. I'm pretty sure it's a lot bigger. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, it's about the same. 6 pages, and then it goes on to what you need. The book does come with a sheet of cardboard tokens and a cardboard movement card. Shows you all the different effects, all the different tokens. I do hope MegaCon do like the plastic ones. If you've ever seen or played Guild Ball before, then you'll know they've got little plastic markers and special effect tokens made of plastic, and I think it would really work for this game, especially with how many there are now. And as you can see, there's quite a few. There's 32 different ones. Not all of them will be used depending on the faction you play. The ones like Pinned and Frozen, they're only for 2 factions. Trident's only used for 1. Repulse Tag's only used for 1. Toxins, only a few. Hack, a lot will use it, but not all. Smoke, situational. Stun, situational. Again, it just depends on your faction. So it goes into suggesting different setups which might work, and then it goes into the game rules. Now it goes into much more depth here. Like for instance, if I just zoom in down here, it's got the elevation rating, which, if you notice, has changed a little bit. Got ER, it's turned the card sideways, which is a little bit different, and it goes into great detail now. It was in detail before, but not as much, I don't think. And then, I mean, for people like me who played first edition extensively, a lot of this is obvious, and then there's a lot of stuff which is completely changed, like flanking, that's can be done at range now. Suppression and Overwatch has changed. Medium range, and so on and so forth. Gives you the reference card showing you all the different stat lines and whatnot, telling you what each thing is, and then telling you in great detail what everything is. The main one that's changed is Interact, which used to be Repair Value, but it's now called Interact, which it's essentially the same thing, but when it's worded in some of the rules and whatnot, it makes more sense to call it Interact than Repair. Just moving on. The different phases. Again, lovely artwork. I'll just zoom in on that picture. Gives a good example of cover and not in cover. A good zoom in picture of the Sadafu Heavy. Action phase, which is like move or shooting and whatnot. I like how they've introduced the measuring with the tape measure if you want. That's okay, but when it comes to firing and whatnot, it's I prefer the cards myself, but that's just me. Marking the bases, yes, it would still be helpful, but not as much, considering the bases are moulded to represent the different facings. Movement in different terrains, combat, traps. Yeah, it goes into detail on traps now. Very nice. Modifiers, which has been greatly expanded upon. Cover, modifier table, which a little bit has changed, a little bit. Elevation, keywords, which I would say it wouldn't have been needed, but if it wasn't there, then people would have complained, and I can see why they would have complained. So yeah, why not? Advanced rules, as before, simultaneous actions, the different templates, which I like. I like how they've got that. Makes it a lot more helpful with deciphering what's extended T, small T, large T, grenade templates and all the rest of it. Refresh phase, and then it comes on to the best bit, the Megacons. Now it does all 12 and then some, so I'll just show you what I mean. The first page of each faction, in this case first one CCC, gives you what the M.E.R.C.S faction is and the corporate abilities. Gives you a little bit of background detail and the 2 corporate abilities of the faction. A nice bit of artwork and a little bit of history and one of their historic events. And then it goes into a 2-page spread of each model or each character, as it will, and a little bit of description on the kit, in this case the weapon, stat line, different rules they've got, which is a little bit weird because it says attack and move, EMP and thrown. It kind of doesn't show it on the stat line, which if you've got the cards isn't much of a problem, but if you haven't got the cards can be a problem. I'll just shift the camera over a little bit, and then it gives you a bit of hints and tips on how you might want to use the model. And then the personal abilities, in this case it's leadership and lucky, same as before. There you go, heavy, sniper, incinerator, demo, medic, breacher, spotter, booster and the gunner. And then it goes on to one of the new factions, EIC, and then, you know, same again. And that is extensively most of the rule book. Would extensively be used as that sort of description? Not sure. But as you can see, good read on the different Megacons and the different units within each. Yeah, like I say, the thing where it just shows the rule and not extensively what each piece of kit does and how the model works, you know, all the stat lines specifically. That can be a little bit of confusion, but if you've got the cards, great. I really like how it goes into a good detail on the weapons, so it gives you a sense of how the factions work, you know, how the kit works, how the weapons are loaded, firing, how accurate they are, how hard they are to fire, how heavy and how much ammo they use. And if you're really into your firearms, you know, like hanging them on your wall sort of thing, which over here in England sounds a bit weird. You know, I suppose you could be into it, that sort of thing. Again, really, really nice. Going into the ISS, the Keizo Waza, Kenvar, Sadafu, Texaco, and I think U.S.C.R. is the last one. Yeah, and then I think yeah, and then after all the Megacons it comes on to this, which I like, which are non-aligned characters. So if you've been following the Recon Kickstarter, you'll know there's Sec 4 units, Sec 4-1, Sec 4-2, Sec 4-3 and Sec 4-4, and then you've got civilians, infected, which can all carry, well, sort of carry different kits. I mean, the Sec 4 units have got their own kit, but civilians could carry armour, sniper rifles, machine guns, you know, hide mob sort of thing. Again, with the infected, same sort of thing. And then you've got, which is essentially Megacon's own take on Robocop. And then Ed 209, which has got a kind of a 3-barrel minigun and a nuke launcher, just because why not. And then the Lost Margin Raider, which you can buy metal, or if you get the Lost Margin Recon expansion, you get I think about 5 of them and 5 of the more close combat orientated ones, the Thrashers. So it gives you stats for that. And then, oh yes, there's more. The House 12 Agent, which, shame they didn't include a House 12 faction, but, you know, Crawler Drone, which can actually buy the drones now, Flying Drone, Heavy Drone, and the X-31, which be interesting to see how that's used. Then it goes into all the different personal abilities, and then suggestions on how to play your first game, and then the different gaming types you could play, which I really like how they've done this, and they've set it out where you can possibly up to 10 people playing farther side, which is very nice. And then you've got just Deathmatch, which is 1 model a player. You've got Defend, which is King of the Hill essentially. Platoon, which is 2 players with 10 models, which really nice. A very different way of playing, which I'd like to have a go at. And then special rules for the different play styles. So, and they don't have to be just kill. There's some interacting with different targets, such as consoles and whatnot, which means you score victory points that way, not just kills. Then it goes into a campaign setting, which you use the different conflict dice, which you'd have to buy the game separately, which ain't bad, $25, which probably with the postage would be 40 quid, which is slightly on the expensive side, but if you can grab it, it's not a bad game at all. If you like your dice games but don't like the random chance of the boosters like in the Marvel, the D&D and the Yu-Gi-Oh dice game that's pretty popular now, this is kind of a good alternative. Gives you a map setting, the faction, how to play, like hiring mercs, resources, materials, the different phases, cleanups, researching tech, how you work each faction in that campaign, so using resources for their factions, maps for 2-player games, 3-player games, 4-player games, 5-player games, 6-player games, 7-player games, 8-player games. So, and then it goes into a scenario which is more story based. So it gives you a map as well as briefing the teams to play, which is kind of what they did in the first edition book, but it didn't give you as much options. It was just basically this is one game, this is another game. No. I like the maps, but you might have to tinker with it a bit to make it work. Just 2 Megacons. This is all a story-based mission where, well, campaign scenarios where they're after this AI, and this scientist and this AI evolves, And as you can see, it's got a stat line, 5 health, 3 armour, with a heavy auto gun and a melee attack, which seems to be really powerful. It's not going to go down that easily. Then keep going, there's quite a lot. And then you've got some that include the Sec 4 troopers. There's about 11 different scenarios. And then it goes into quick reference, modifiers, keyword table, and the index, which wasn't really near as big as the first book, but very good in here. And then just acknowledgements and thank yous, and that model. Oh, I can't wait to paint you. And then blank pages and the back. So if you can get hold of it, buy it. It's a very good book, very good book. It's probably about 2-3 kilogram possibly. Page count is 384, 385, something like that, without the blank yellow pages. I thought it was about it's nearly 400-ish. But yeah, really good book and improves on the game no end. So with that, we'll get on to the factions.